Hello and welcome to HBM's Cryptid-Corner for Wednesday, October 18th, 2023. We have quite a few things to talk about, so let's get started. 2 million years ago, this Homo erectus lived the high life. Dating of a child's fossilized jaw and teeth suggest our relatives lived at altitude earlier than once thought. This is apparently an illustration of the Homo erectus child with her mother in the Ethiopian highlands 2 million years ago. Archaeologists are rewriting the story of an early human child whose fossilized jaw and impacted teeth were discovered more than 40 years ago in the Ethiopian highlands. Scientists used high-tech imaging to reveal that early humans, apparently Homo erectus, inhabited this high-altitude plateau 2 million years ago. Their work provides more evidence that even early in our evolutionary history, our Homo ancestors weren't confined to warm African lowlands. Instead, they took advantage of a variety of diverse environments, a precursor of their ability to subsequently spread out across the prehistoric world. What this suggests is that early Homo erectus could adapt to high altitude environments. I don't know what this means for Sasquatch, but it is fascinating. And this depicts Homo erectus as hairless, even though the late Ray Crow thought that Sasquatch were related to Homo erectus. My question is, do we actually know if Homo erectus was hairless or not? I would suggest we don't know. I guess it's just speculation that they were hairless, but who knows? Maybe they weren't. Maybe they weren't hairless. We really don't know for sure. But an interesting article nonetheless. Here's a passing. I'm not sure if I noted it or not, but this is from CryptoZooNews.com. From green hell to a piece of heaven, David Oren, Mapinguari researcher, passes away. The great cryptozoologist and rainforest biologist Dr. David C. Oren died in his beloved adopted home of Brazil, September 7th, 2023. He was 70 years old. Dr. Oren experienced a full existence of fieldwork, notoriety, and controversy. His death brings an end to his scrupulous work in studying the strange creature called Mapinguari, research which at times brought ridicule upon David. His passing presents an opportunity to review the status of the Mapinguari and the life of its most dedicated modern researcher. The Mapinguari in the 1950s. The Mapinguari has been discussed within cryptozoological literature for quite some time. In the 1950s and 1960s, Frank W. Lane in Nature Parade, Bernard Heuvelmans in On the Track of Unknown Animals, and Ivan T. Sanderson in Abominable Snowman Legend Come to Life all focused on the Mapinguari in South America. Typically, the Mapinguari is described in local traditions as an ethno-known throughout southern Brazil as a red-haired, sloping, bipedal, long-armed cryptid associated with unique bottled footprints. Cryptozoologists, including Bernard Heuvelmans, Ivan T. Sanderson, Mark A. Hall, Lauren Coleman, and others, have long considered the Mapinguari creature worthy of attention as detailed in the Coleman and Jerome Clark book, Cryptozoology A to Z, published in 1999. Now, Heuvelmans theorized the Mapinguari might be a large primate. This is supposed to be a representation of what the Mapinguari supposedly looked like, with what appeared to be a mouth in the belly of the creature and very long arms. But interestingly enough, David Oren thought that the Mapinguari were giant ground sloths that had not gone extinct. I'm not sure about that. I have to say I don't think that's possible. I don't know for sure. My guess is that there's most likely a large primate of some kind, much like Sasquatch. But I don't know for sure. I don't think any of us know for sure. And from what I've heard about the Mapinguari, apparently their odor, just their odor, can cause a person to go mute or go insane. It almost has a paralyzing aspect to it, referring to the odor of the Mapinguari, supposedly, which I find fascinating. Now, are Mapinguari large primates or large ground sloths who were thought to have gone extinct? That's the question I think that we're going to struggle with until one is brought out of the jungles of South America. But it gives us room for discussion, that's for certain. Here's one about large black panthers seen in Louisiana, or at least one in Alexandria, Louisiana. In recent weeks, a sense of mystery has descended upon the residents of Rapides Parish as reports of a possible black panther roaming near the levee banks of Lower 3rd Street have circulated through the community. Locals claim to have seen and heard what they believe is a majestic black panther, sparking both intrigue and speculation. One eyewitness, Ken Lee, recounted a startling encounter, saying, "We were in a tent and heard something that sounded like a baby crying at first. And then the sound turned to something else. I saw a big black cat, and I knew to mind my business from over there." Lee described the creature as being the size of an animal one might expect to find in a zoo, leaving a lasting impression on those who heard his account. And here's a photograph of what appears to be a pug mark, a large paw print. And there are those who are now saying that it may be a cougar with a genetic mutation causing black fur. Interesting. Isn't the out of place Black Panther? Is there one wandering around in the sportsman's paradise? Maybe. Who knows? Is it just a cougar with a genetic mutation? That'd be fascinating as well if that were the case. Either way, I'm sure there are families in that community sitting around in their houses, in their living rooms, discussing this and saying, Don't go out there. The panther will get you. Strange creature washed up on Georgia beach thought to be legendary cryptid. Some call it the Altamaha. A recent viral video of a news story about a mysterious cryptid washing up on a Georgia beach is quite literally making waves, but TikTok's algorithm is actually regurgitating a 5-year-old mystery, and the video is deceptively cutting out the fact that this one has a definitive solution.
Is up on a South Georgia beach, and it has everyone scratching their heads. Is it a shark? Is it some kind of sea monster? Juliet Dreyer joins us now live. And Juliet, I was in the water today, so I'm a little bit concerned.
Yeah, Jeff, a lot of people are talking about this, a lot of people. So just imagine you're out on a boat ride when you see what you think is a dead seal. So you get closer only to realize that's not what it is at all. Take a look at your screen right now. This is what a man named Jeff Warren says he found on Wolf Island on Friday. That's just north of St. Simon's Island. He says he was boating with his son when they came across this mystery creature. It was about 4 to 5 feet long, and he says birds had already started to peck at the carcass. So the question now, what is it? Is it a fish, a shark, or maybe even a St. Patrick's Day hoax? Well, I have reached out to a lot of marine experts to ask about what this creature is, but so far, nothing definitive. Now, Florida Fish and Wildlife tells me they do have people looking into it right now, and we'll have an update tonight at 11. Reporting live, Juliet Dreyer, First Coast News on your side.
The video shares the story of a local news station that aired a clip in 2018 about a boater who found an odd, dead animal washed up on the beach in Georgia. The creature had a long neck and fins. It looked like some sort of prehistoric dinosaur. But animals can decompose in odd ways, and people are often surprised to find that the fused fins of sea mammals, for example, still retain finger and toe bones beneath their skin. Similarly, any marine creature who has nibbled on a corpse is likely to leave behind odd shapes that may further confuse the eye. Others did call it a hoax. Some said it was a type of small shark that had rotted away. A few months after the signing, a New York-based performance artist took responsibility for the hoax. Interesting. So this turned out to be a hoax. There are those who claim there is such a creature in those regions in the Altamaha River, which they call the Altamaha. Some sort of Loch Ness monster type creature. It's still pretty interesting and fascinating, though. Even though this one was a hoax. Now, this one's been making headlines all across the crypto world. Watch, Bigfoot filmed from train in Colorado.
It's an elusive creature. Alright, just squat it down.
Where at?
Yeah, let me see your camera, I'll do it.
I guess see him. Stand up.
It's not muscular build. It's a baggy suit. That's what this is. It's a guy in a suit. I mean, look at how
It's an elusive creature.
look how the legs flare out.
Squat it down.
Real Sasquatch do not have legs that flare out.
elusive creature. Alright, just squat it down.
Where at?
Yeah, let me see your camera, I'll do it.
I guess see him. Stand up.
See how the legs flare outward? Bottom of the legs especially. That's typical of what you might call a suit with bell bottoms. Intriguing video filmed from a pasture train in Colorado shows a curious bipedal creature that some believe to be Bigfoot lurking on the mountain. The remarkable footage came to light this week by way of Shannon Parker, who explained to a local media outlet that the sighting took place on Sunday as she and her husband Stetson were riding on the narrow gauge railroad which connects the communities of Durango and Silverton. As the trip was winding down, the couple looked out the window of the train and were stunned to see what appeared to be a creature walking along a mountainside on 2 feet before squatting down in some brush. Well, it's obviously not a real Sasquatch. It's a guy in a suit. And there's even a program of some sort, which is, I think it's called Sasquatch Expedition. And they have a guy go out dressed in a suit. So I got news for you. This one's the guy in a suit. It's kind of obvious, too. I mean, just within a few seconds of looking at it up close, you can tell it's a guy in a suit. And that's what it is. So, moving on. Speaking of suits, here's an article, A Tale of Two Suits, by Lauren Coleman, referring to the Patterson-Gimlin film and the two completely contradicting stories of different suits supposedly used in the Patterson-Gimlin film, which, by the way, will be 56 years old to the day this Friday. 56 years to the day. It's 6 years since I went to California for the 50th anniversary celebration. Of course, this refers to Greg Long's book, The Making of Bigfoot, The Inside Story. Originally, if you remember, Bob Hieronymus said, "Oh, it was a dead red horse." Roger Patterson skinned out a dead red horse, and then Philip Morris comes along and says, "No, it was my suit. It was made of Dynel." So we have two contradictions there, even though Greg Long has told me personally on an internet radio show that no, there wasn't any contradiction. There was no contradiction. Well, that was Howard Hieronymus who said it, supposedly. No. Bob Hieronymus is quoted directly as saying that in Greg Long's book. Hieronymus is directly quoted as saying it. Page 3, I think it was page 347. So, or was it page 345? It was one of those pages in Greg Long's book. But the PG film has survived that particular assault, as it were. Still holds up as the best photographic evidence for the existence of Sasquatch. Despite what you may hear from Cal Korff and Greg Long and the late Philip Morris, you may have heard from him, from Hieronymus himself. No, the film is real. The creature in the film is real. It's a real Sasquatch. It's not a guy in a suit. It's certainly not that Colorado video, that's for sure. If the PG film is a guy in a suit, it's probably one of the best suits I've ever seen, and far beyond anything that Roger Patterson could have ever done. And there are those who assume that, oh yeah, he's the guy that made the suit. He was creative enough and skilled enough. And there are those who say, well, no, it was John Chambers, the guy who made the Planet of the Apes prosthetics. Only problem is, when you see the Planet of the Apes suits, they make the actors look like the Pillsbury Doughboy. And you can see all kinds of folds in the suit. Whereas what you see here is very natural looking and very real looking. The BBC attempted to recreate the PG film back in 1998. They didn't even bother to come out with a suit that supposedly matched the PG film. They had this off-the-shelf gorilla suit. Well, actually, Bigfoot suit. And the one suit that was seen for a National Geographic program, in which they were going to show Bob Hieronymus walking in the suit, there is no actual footage, so to speak, of that. But there is still photography which has been put together into a walking animation of Hieronymus in the suit. It looks nothing like Patty, the Patterson-Gimlin film. Excuse me. I mean, it looks patently ridiculous. It looks like a fat Ewok. Doesn't look anything like the PG film. This doesn't look anything like this. So, to quote Obi-Wan Kenobi from the original Star Wars, who's the more foolish, the fool or the fool who follows him? Finally, apparently there is an African serval cat on the loose in Decatur, Illinois.
Speckled feline was reported missing around Decatur, and it's not exactly a house cat.
Certainly not. This is a serval cat, and it's native to Africa. Macon County Animal Control says it's considered actually a danger to the community. WAND's Carly Bronkema joins us now live with more. Carly?
Dawn and Sean, like you said, servals like this aren't usually native to Illinois. In fact, they're usually from Africa, and they usually weigh between 25 and 30 pounds in adulthood, which is significantly bigger than your normal household cat. And this wild cat was not someone who escaped from the Scoville Zoo. In fact, this cat was a beloved pet that went missing.
I just want my baby back. I'm so frustrated and disappointed. Words can't even begin to describe how much I've cried.
Reese the serval is 1.5 years old. Christopher Solomon had only owned him for 2 weeks when he ran away.
I woke up at about 1 o'clock in the morning shivering cold because the door was wide open and trying to figure out what was going on with my cat, but the cat was gone. I called the police and animal control to try to find him.
Reese went missing 3 weeks ago. However, it's been difficult to get help finding him because different agencies have said different things.
But I did absolutely get both email verification and a phone call verification from IDNR stating that there was no licensing or permits required to own a serval cat in the state of Illinois.
But the city says otherwise.
We've determined that you cannot possess a serval in the city of Decatur. After we catch the animal, we will retain possession of it while we work through the legal proceedings necessary to deal with it.
At this point, Solomon says he doesn't care if he gets the cat back. He just wants him to be safe.
He's really just scared and confused. He's a great boy. He was warming up to me and sleeping on the bed with me and playing with me. He's really great. I mean, I've even got pictures of him sitting with like 3-year-old, 5-year-old children.
Animal Control has partnered with an exotic animal rescue to find the serval. If you see the wild cat out and about, you're asked to call the Macon County Animal Control at the number on your screen. Live indicator, Carly Bronkema, WAND News.
Thanks, Carly. Traditional pets don't always have a home, so food drives for animal shelters come in handy. Randall residents of Decatur partnered with Macon County Animal Control and Care Center to provide supplies to animals in need while in shelter care. The drive began on the 1st of October and concluded this past Saturday. The donations were delivered to the shelter, with both organizations thanking you for your contribution.
Well, I hope they find the thing, regardless of who or what it goes to, or who it goes to. Maybe they'll put it in a zoo of some sort. Very interesting story, I have to say that much. Finally, today is Bob Gimlin's birthday. Happy birthday, cowboy. 92 years young. I don't know who Bob Gimlin is. He's the G in the PG film, Patterson Gimlin film. Hope he has a wonderful birthday today. And that's going to do it for this week. Well, thank you very much for tuning in. You guys are the heart of the show. I always say that, but I always mean it. And I will continue to do this as long as you guys want me to. And hey, until next week, y'all be good or be good at it. This is HBM's Crypto-Corner.